We flew to Ouvea to look for a parakeet. This is a trip that we might never beat.
Thank you for tuning in to Hannah and Eric Go Birding, a podcast by birders for birders.
I'm Hannah and he's Eric.
We created this podcast to share adventures, sometimes misadventures, and opinions that we have about birding topics. We're definitely not experts, and anything we discuss might be controversial. I want you to remember their own opinions, and they might be different from yours.
So we just ran into one of our listeners at a birding festival.
We did, yeah.
And he wanted to see what kind of controversial opinions you have.
Yeah, I think.
Give us a hot take, Eric.
A hot take, yeah. No, I'll let you know.
Liar.
There'll be something controversial that will come up.
I doubt you're ever gonna have an opinion like that. You're very politically correct.
No, but it's our own opinion. So if it's controversial, I want you to remember, yeah, they're opinions.
And you have your own opinions.
Everyone has.
And we respect those.
100%.
So not a whole lot of news other than, the annual eBird update was completed, and we just got an email the other day saying it's finally complete.
Yes, we did. And something new that they added this year that I don't remember ever seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen it before, is they have the ability for you to download your personal changes. So you could download it and it sent it to you as a PDF, and it'll tell you what changed on your life list, so you can compare it to what you thought were the results of the thing. There were a couple things that I missed that I did not realize were going to get changed.
Yeah.
And then obviously there was a whole bunch of switching a bunch of the woodpeckers into a different genus. That modification that I hadn't really paid attention to. It didn't include lumps and splits, but it was a modification to the genus.
The taxonomic changes.
The taxonomic changes that were just name change only, and changing where things are located, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I think it's cool that, this, and it's not like a new science, but that there's still so many things that we don't know, that they are doing modifications that are like substantial changes, that it's like, oh, these are in different families or whatever. It's like how Limpkin gets tossed around from one place to another every couple of years. It's cool to be in a time and a place in history that like everything's not all worked out.
Yeah.
Not that we're like on the forefront of ornithology or anything like that, where it's like, what is the difference between a bird and everything else? But we have
a pretty good definition of what a bird is versus other stuff. But
do we?
I think we do. Maybe not. Yeah.
Okay.
You're giving me the good stare down. Like,
yeah. Give us a hot take, Eric.
Oh man, I don't have a hot take right now. You put me on the spot.
You need You need time to think of a hot take.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
Okay.
Numerous episodes.
I'm just gonna start like opening up doors in front of you and hot take!
It's a good idea.
Yeah, this will be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So we want to thank one of our very good friends for buying us a coffee. We really appreciate it. You know who you are. And thank you to everybody else who has supported our show. It's a labor of love, and we appreciate that you all are on this journey with us.
Yeah. Speaking of labor of love, you do 2 additional podcasts in between episodes of Hannah and Eric Go Birding. You've got Women Birders Happy Hour, which comes out next week, and Bird Nerd Book Club, which came out last week. So last week, Bird Nerd Book Club, what book did you read and who'd you interview?
So I had Ryan Goldberg on, whose book Bird City about New York City birding came out just a couple of days ago. So whether you bird in New York or not, check that book out. It's a really good read. We've only been to New York the one time, which you all have been on that adventure with us a couple of months ago. And although, I don't know that we'll ever get back there.
We'll get back there eventually.
You think so?
Eventually, yeah.
It's a really interesting read to learn more about one of the, biggest cities in the country.
Yeah, and then next week, Women Birders Happy Hour, who'd you interview?
I'll have Caitlin Davis on, who I enjoy watching her Instagrams and TikToks and everything. She does a lot of really funny videos, and I'm excited to chat with her about birding and what she does.
Yeah, you crafted a cocktail for that?
Not yet.
Okay. It's a secret cocktail.
Yeah, I'll work on that today, actually. So, Eric, we're going to a couple places.
Yeah, so we are going to be going down to the Morro Bay Bird Festival in January. Super excited to be guiding at that festival for the second year in a row.
The registration is open for that.
Yes, it is. So register for the trips with us. That'll be fun. We'll have a blast. And then we're going to Japan in February. Excited about going to a whole new region of the world that we've never been to. And then Spring Chirp in April. going to be guiding at that festival. Can't wait to get back down to the Rio Grande Valley. We just got back from the Rio Grande Valley. I can't believe we're talking about going back already.
We have to go every 6 months. That's just how it is.
It's a fantastic place to go birding, whether you go in the spring or in the fall. Spring chart coming up is a fun. It's a little boutique festival, more migration birds, but still all the same residents. So it's tons of fun.
I decided that I want chachalakas to be my personality.
Just your full personality?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to do from now on.
Okay, so you're just going to yell really loud sometimes?
Maybe.
Out of nowhere?
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we'll have to practice some antiphonal calls.
Okay, you think we can do that?
Yeah. You just yell from one side and then I'll yell back from the other side of the hotel.
It's going to be like a Marco Polo thing.
Yeah. I think that's an antiphonal call.
I think so too. Yeah. But we can't say chachalaka and we can't say like Hannah and Eric. Like, it has to be something different.
You can say Hannah, I can say nah.
Well, that's... No? Too self-involved for me.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah. Okay. We'll come up with something.
Yes.
So that brings us to our November Bird Nerd giveaway. What we have for you this time is a notebook from Quill and Finch. And listeners can actually purchase one of these at a 10% discount that was provided by the owner of the company. And that's by December 31st. And you just use the coupon code Hannah and Eric, all one word. And we'll put that information in the show notes. So if you want to buy your own, if you don't happen to win. Yeah, but they're really cute notebooks. We got one a couple days ago. Really nice quality notebook, and the inside page of every other page has the information about like the start of your bird walk. What time of day you're starting and all that kind of information. Has a place for that, and then on the right side are just lined entry section. So if you want to write a journal entry, whatever you want to do, it will be yours to come up with.
All right. So by November 25th, in order to win this and to be randomly selected, you have to tell us something. What we want you to tell you this month, what we want you to tell us.
What we're going to tell you this month.
We're going to tell you this month. Well, what you're going to tell us this month is what's your favorite, I think the right word for this would be ancillary thing about birding. So what's your example of an ancillary thing about birding?
Well, it's something that we talk about a lot with folks, is that birding kind of gives us an opportunity to travel to places that we thought we'd never go. Like, it gives us a focus to travel. Like, I mean, back in the day before birding, it was like, I want to go to Paris because everybody goes to Paris and that's a huge thing to do.
It's a place to go.
Yeah.
But why? Why do you go to Paris?
Yeah. So, I mean, birding has really given us an opportunity to focus where we want to go see birds.
Yeah. And then we see other stuff while we're there.
Yeah,
so
totally.
We're birding, but then we get to see all of the other stuff while we're traveling. So one of my favorite ancillary things about birding is that it gives us the opportunity to learn about other imperiled things, species across all of the world.
The whole spectrum.
The whole spectrum of everything. So plants, animals, bugs, whatever it is, and how we can help them in some fashion. So it's not just the birds that we're out there, we're birding, but we also recently learned about the ohia trees in higher elevation Hawaii and Kauai and some of the other places. It's a species of tree that is dependent upon by things like the iiwi and the apapanes to be able to live, forage, a higher elevation honey, like.
Yeah, so they have those interconnected relationships that you got to learn about.
Exactly. So you learn about this other species that's facing this horrible, horrible fate right now, in addition to learning, and then how can you help them? So learning those other things, those other stuff that's not just birds, I think is a really, really favorite ancillary thing about birding that I like.
That was kind of dark.
Well, you learn how to help them, like what it is like. You go out onto a trail. So specifically this plant, it's cleaning all of your equipment before going out on a new trail after you've been on a trail.
Okay.
So making sure that you're not transmitting a disease from one place to another. You learn that, and then now you know how you can help and not hurt the situation. Yeah,
so by November 25th, tell us what your favorite ancillary thing is about birding. And the company that's providing this, Quill and Finch, they believe that every bird sighting is worth remembering, and their journals are designed for all levels and interests of birds and birders, and they're based in Vancouver Island, so not very far from us, which is cool, and they love the outdoors and find joy in keeping a logbook. So if you want to purchase one for yourself, great Christmas present, check out the show notes for how to get that discount.
Yeah. All right, so last episode, we were in Fiji, and we were in Fiji because we were en route to New Caledonia.
Yeah.
So when we went to New Caledonia, So we had secured a guide, and it turned out that with that guide, she had standardized
She has a
trips.
standard trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like check out her website or you email her, I think it was that she sent us like a brochure that was a really nicely done brochure about these are the 3-day trips that I offer. Here's where we're going to go. Here's how much it is. Here's where to stay. Actually a really great resource.
Yeah, really, really nicely laid out.
She does
but
do
3 days.
She does do longer trips, which wasn't going to work out for us, but that 3-day trip was perfect for what we were planning on doing. So to get to New Caledonia, you can either fly through like New Zealand or
Australia.
And I can't remember if we mentioned this before, but we decided to fly through Fiji, even though there's only one day a week that they fly in and out of New Caledonia. But it was just because we didn't want to go to Australia, our first trip there, and then only have like 24 hours.
Yeah,
to
we
explore.
didn't want to spoil our first trip to one of those places with just a long layover.
Yeah. So Fiji felt like we could do that on just a long layover for at least the first time going there.
Yeah.
So anyways, we had a week in and out of New Caledonia, and then our guide was only going to be 3 days of that. So we were like trying to figure out how we would spend that extra time. And I don't really remember how this all worked out, but I landed on the Loyalty Islands, which is the 3 islands that are off of New Caledonia. It's Ouvea, Madi, and Lifu that are called the Loyalty Islands. And so I was on their tourism page, maybe through Instagram. But anyways, I was really wasting a lot of time daydreaming about some of these places. And as I was looking through these islands and all it had on that website, I did the next thing and I investigated on eBird, which endemic species were there or what birds were being seen there. And that somehow landed me on the Ouvea Parakeet.
Yeah, so the Ouvea Parakeet is...
And by the way, we've said Ouvea. There's a dozen other ways that we've mispronounced this word. And we've heard it a couple different ways too. So we're trying to say the French way, the Ouvea.
Yeah, we're terrible about pronouncing things. Maybe it was a bad idea to do a podcast where it's all us talking.
It's got a lot of vowels.
It does.
Ouvea.
Yeah.
It's missing an I and a Y sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But the Ouvea Parakeet is endemic just to the island of Ouvea. Visually, it looks very similar to the horned parakeet on New Caledonia. So my assumption is that it ended up on Ouvea at some point and has speciated out. Now, it does look different. It sounds a little bit different too. But because it's on an island that's very undervisited in terms of eBirders, and it's just kind of, there's not, besides that it's got secluded beaches and it's just out there, there's not really a reason for birders to go out to this island. So there's only 68 recordings when we booked the trip. There was only 68 recordings on eBird of it.
Hang on. So when I was investigating it, I saw that there were 68 recordings of it, and I was like,
that's less than 100. Less than 100 people have seen this bird.
And our most eBird, our most eBird rare species that we've seen prior to this was the golden nightjar, and it had like what 150?
Yeah, it was like 150 or something like that.
Sightings.
In Senegal.
Yeah. No, not in Senegal, in the world.
No. It's in Senegal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in a few other places through that desert region. But overall, less than 200 sightings.
Yeah, so when it popped up that the parakeet had that few sightings, I quickly found Eric and I was like, hey, what do you think about adding another flight and making this a lot more complicated? Which you didn't seem super happy about.
Well, but also it was kind of like, well, what else are we going to do? Just hang out without a guide on New Caledonia for some additional time? Like,
it's a popular destination for Australians. So I was thinking okay, so there's going to be stuff to do.
Yeah, but I was a little bit hesitant, but also kind of thought well, I'd like to see different endemic species, a rarely recorded endemic species. That'd be kind of cool.
So anyways,
we do all the research based on eBird. So this is the caveat with it that it probably has more sightings than this. It's just people that are not using eBird are the ones that are citing it in other instances. But the only resource that we have to find out that is eBird, and eBird only had only 68 recordings of it.
So anyways, it was really tough to figure out, once I got Eric on board, figure out exactly where to stay and how to get around, and really that much information about the island itself.
Yeah.
The Loyalty Islands tourism website does have a lot of information, or, well, it has as
It
much
has some
information
information.
as anything else. TripAdvisor, that was another resource that we used to kind of figure out exactly what to do. The island itself is about 30 miles long by a mile wide in some sections, and has approximately 3,000 people who live there, many of whom, it was like 90% are Kanak, which is an indigenous Melanesian community, and make up about 41% of the total New Caledonian population, but on that island, 90%.
Yeah, pretty much the entire island is populated by the indigenous Melanesian tribes of the Kanak. So this island is small.
Yeah.
It's hard to get to, and there's not a lot of stuff on it.
It's very natural.
It's very, like, the whole north end is completely wild. The island, it has this big wide, like, square at the north end of it that is basically all natural. Like,
natural forest.
Natural forest. There's no roads punched through it. There's really no access except for on foot through that whole area.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually where most of the recordings were at, is up in that region, up in that north area that is relatively untouched. It still has, the people have lived on this island for generations, so everywhere is visited in some fashion, especially by the indigenous tribes here, but it's relatively untouched up there. So keeping that in mind, we looked up some of the stuff that was there and found that there's a total of 2 hotels on the island, one way far at the south end, and then one kind of in the middle, nearest to the airport. And then there's a handful of tribal stays. And we found all this information through the tourism website, which, honestly, the tourism website for Ouvea looked like a static website that may or may not have been updated at all in the recent future. It actually was updated. It just looks like that. It just looked like a static website.
There's probably not a whole lot of changes.
Probably not a lot of changes to make. But through that, we contacted a gentleman named Mark, who lives in the north end, and his homestay is called Boisseven. I'm probably pronouncing that entirely wrong. It's French, and he's a local indigenous tribe member, and he has a homestay. You can come. He has a handful of cabins that you stay in, and he makes breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you could just hang out with him. And
he had a lot of really good reviews on TripAdvisor, and so that's one of the reasons why we contacted him. Also, because where his homestay is right around where most of the sightings of the parakeet are, and the island itself is it's an important bird area that was designated by BirdLife International because it supports a variety of species, like this parakeet and cardinal Isomelas and a number of other species. So we contacted Mark, arranged for a stay.
It was fairly simple. I shot him an email. He did not seem to speak very much English. It was mostly French, but I sent him an email. Google Translate helped us get through those emails.
My French is very limited. It's like, I know what I'd like to order and where's the bathroom, and that's about it.
Yeah. So that was relatively simple, contacting Mark and getting that arranged. The rental car, on the other hand, was a little bit more difficult. Again, 2 locations to rent cars. That you could either email him or call him on the phone and arrange it. Calling him on the phone really wasn't an option, so email it was, and we went back and forth and were able to seemingly secure a vehicle for our trip there.
So we had everything arranged.
Yes.
And
we had a hotel, we knew what bird we were looking for, and we had a car to get to that bird.
Yeah. So our flight from Fiji was at night, and our flight to Ouvea was the next afternoon. And so we found a nice hotel on the water, stayed on the beach.
In New Caledonia.
Yeah, in Noumea. And
yeah, Noumea.
I really wanted to stay at this Marriott that was on a private island with overwater cabanas, but it was full by the time.
We dilly-dallied too much.
Yeah, we went to book it. But we stayed at a nice hotel that was right next to this park called Detour, which is a municipal park, and we had some time in the morning to check out that park before we had to, arrange to get to the airport. And right on the way, like leaving the hotel, we had coconut lorikeets fly over.
Still on the hotel ground. So we had coconut lorikeets. We had the New Caledonia Myzamellas. We had fan-tailed Jerrygons. Lots of very vocal, very confiding Rufous whistlers.
Which you'll probably use for either the intro or the outro, right?
I'm sure you may have already heard it, or you'll hear it soon at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Because I got a lot of recordings of those guys.
They were so confiding. That was really cool to see those.
Yeah, and we had the white eyes and the silver eyes, and all sorts of really good bird life hiking this. It's semi-developed trails. Most of them are pretty well developed, but there's a couple sections where it was just kind of like, am I still on the trail? I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden you pop out and you're actually on stairs. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The top overlooks a UNESCO World Heritage Lagoon that is called Ouvea and Duck Island. It's very popular for walkers, joggers, and bicyclists.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody was out.
Everybody was out, and everyone was good morning, good morning, good morning, all up and down the trail. So very friendly people that were just all wanted to say good morning, and like a couple of them were asking, "What are you looking at?" And we just tell them birds, and they're like, "Okay," and they keep on going.
I know, but not a lot of bonjours.
Yeah, I know. They would look at us and be like, "You look like you speak English, not French," and so then they would just say it in English, and it's like, "Okay, well, thanks." I guess.
I try to fit in. It doesn't work. So we had a really good morning up there, and we got up to the top, saw some stuff, wandered back down to the hotel so we could get some breakfast, and we were excited to have our lifers, silver gulls, at the hotel pool.
Yeah, so sidebar about it. So silver gulls, there's a commercial from Liberty Mutual where there's a guy sitting on a bench, and he's sitting in front of the Statue of Liberty, and they're talking, whatever it is, they're advertising for their insurance. And then a gull lands right next to him and it, like, steals his food or phone or whatever it is, and that's a silver gull. So he's in New York and he has a silver gull land next to him. Maybe silver gulls are really easy to train. Maybe that's why I have no idea.
They're really pretty.
Or it was just AI the whole time. I didn't look that carefully at it, but it's a silver gull, and so it was interesting that commercial came out like a month before we went down to Ouvea and down to New Caledonia to see silver gulls.
Because as one does, when we were watching the commercial, we were like, "Hey, what's that bird? Oh, it's a silver gull."
And
Let's look up where the silver gulls are from.
Exactly, we look up field marks and we're like, "Oh, that's silver gull. All right. Oh, wait, why? It doesn't even not even the right hemisphere."
Yeah,
but it was interesting.
Yeah, so we got some breakfast, checked that out. Eric had left his glasses on the plane.
On the first plane ride to I lost
to Fiji.
To Fiji from San Francisco to Fiji. I left them in the back of the seat in front of me. So no sunglasses, squinty.
The whole time I was trying to like find him new sunglasses, and at the pool at the hotel they were having like a pool party. Yeah, and they had a whole
7 o'clock in the morning. They're having a pool party, blasting like this music, just like, this is weird. Like, why so early and why so loud?
So Eric had left his sunglasses on the plane, and I was panicking about getting him new sunglasses because I was projecting how much I hate not having sunglasses. And I kept trying to like figure out a tourist shop, blah, blah, blah. And anyways, the hotel was having a pool party down at the pool, and we had to walk through because we were going to hang out on the beach for a few minutes before we were going to the airport. Yeah. And they had this huge basket of sunglasses. They're bright yellow. They're like the fake Ray-Bans that I buy. Yeah. You know, and they're like bright yellow. They had Lipton's iced tea logo on it. So, I mean, the sunglasses were like made for me. Like, it's a bright color. I love Lipton's iced tea.
And honestly, when I put them on, they actually made things brighter. And I was more squinty because of that transparent yellow around the edge. I was just like, it makes things harder to see. Like, I'm going to wear them, but anyways, it was much more difficult to see with them on.
We saved ourselves like $20 on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had some sunglasses that...
Win-win.
Yeah.
And now I have new sunglasses.
There we go.
So that was exciting.
It was exciting to get that. And then, so we're like, all right, well, let's basically time to go. To take our flight up to Ouvea. So we head up to the room, start packing things up. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to download my photos real quick onto the hard drive. So I walk across the room, and my hard drive slips off of the thing and falls, and boom, hits the floor. So I'm like, what the heck? So I panicked. I'm like, all right. So I sit down, plug it in, and it makes this horrendous grinding noise. And major mistakes. So lost my sunglasses, and then shortly afterwards, smashed my hard drive that has years and years and years of photos, including all of the Fiji photos that I had not even looked at. And there was a couple of days back from Colombia, lots of photos lost. So if anybody has an idea of how I can potentially get this repaired or who to contact, I would love to hear that information. I went to a couple of websites and found some outrageously expensive ways.
Anyways, for $1,300, it might get fixed.
Maybe. But if anyone has any ideas, I'd love to hear them. But
so we got to drive her to the airport.
After I wish I could have drank my sorrows away, but couldn't. We got to drive her to the airport.
Yeah. And we got to the airport way too early because we were nervous that our tickets weren't valid because it wouldn't allow us to check in to the flight online. Mm-hmm. Turns out we were way too early.
It's just because it's a small airport with a small airline and a small plane.
It is what it is. The one we were leaving from was a domestic airport that's different from the airport we flew into from Fiji. So anyways, we enjoyed the mud flat slowly filling with the tide while we waited to get back to the airport.
Waited for like an hour and then walked back over to the airport.
Yeah, and then we got checked in, we had to check a bag, and then we noticed our seats didn't have assignments, or our tickets didn't have seat assignments on them.
So, like, literally, as we're walking onto the plane, there was a group of French tourists that were there, and so we asked them, like, hey, what's up with this? And they were like, oh, no, yeah, you just sit wherever. Just get on the plane and sit down. It's fine.
Which
there are no seat assignments.
It's sort of what I figured, but I just wanted to be sure before we got on.
Yeah. No, I've never flown on a plane like that was situated like that. I think Southwest does that, where you could just get on and besides the bulkhead seats, like all the. I don't know. There's a couple airlines in the U.S., domestic airlines, that have that sort of situation going on with it, which I've never flown one of those before, so I was kind of like, I have no idea.
So it was a relatively short flight, about 40 minutes, and we started to walk towards the car rental company. Mm-hmm. It looked like it was only a 5-minute walk down the road, and we thought we knew what we were doing.
I think we did generally. So the car company didn't send us any of like,
they were just like, you have a reservation. We're like, cool.
We've got your reservation. Awesome. So then we get to the airport. There's nobody around with a sign saying we're us. So we look on the map and it's 1 mile down the road. So it's like, oh, 1 mile. We'll just walk that. So we started walking. We get like maybe halfway down and a couple pulls over and barely speaking English, mostly French, trying to
like, what are you doing? Where are you going?
English. Exactly. And so then back and forth, I'm like, all right, well, we're going to Fatu, the name of the rental car company. And they're like, well, where are you staying? And I was like, oh, well, we're staying with Mark and Paulette on the north end.
And we had also contacted the owners of the homestay, Mark and Paulette, earlier that day, saying we're not entirely sure about this car rental because it says they're supposed to be closed today. Yeah. Do you have transport? And
so then he asked in an email back, what's your flight number and what time is it?
Yeah. So we weren't entirely sure if these people in the car were them.
Yeah. So super friendly people. Yeah. It's like, all right, well, they're like, oh, well, we'll take you there. We'll take you there. And it's like, okay. So then we hop in with them. We ride down to Fatu, which is another half mile. And they were like, oh, it's closed. Okay, well, we'll just take you to your accommodation. And I was like,
well, and at this point, we still weren't sure if that was Mark and Paulette.
Exactly. So they pull up to the one gas station. There's 2 gas stations on the island, really close to each other. They pull up to the gas station that's mostly grocery store / gas station, and we talk with the wife for a little bit and discover through our conversation, oh, this isn't Mark and Paulette. These are just some friendly people here on the island.
Very helpful people.
Very, very helpful people. And they were like, oh, well, no, they're closed. I don't know Mark's phone number, but we can take you up to his house. And so I was like, okay, well, let's go.
I mean, we felt like we were super inconveniencing these folks.
Yes, definitely. So then she just kept apologizing for confusing us. And she was like, oh, well, it's fine. This is the way we are. This is our culture. If somebody needs help, we help them. And so we're very, very thankful to them. Very apologetic with them. We arrive at our accommodation, and Mark's there, and seemingly Mark didn't really seem to know that we were arriving, which was interesting. The room wasn't ready. He was confused who we were for a minute after talking with him, and
it was a long day.
It was a long day.
It was a long day. I was shrinking from like anxiety and nerves, and I'm glad we've gotten there.
So then we essentially forcibly gave the first couple some money to cover the gas expense of having to go so far out of their way, which the island's not huge, but gas is very expensive on the island. So it's like you need something to compensate you. Like, this is all confusing. So we We gave them a little bit of money to cover for their gas expense, and then
Which now I feel bad because they didn't want.
they really didn't want it. And I think it was a situation where I forced them to take money when they didn't really want it, but
we were just so flustered.
But we talked with Mark.
But they were so nice and very generous, and we really appreciate that.
Yes, whoever they are. You probably won't listen to this because you didn't really speak English, but
we also didn't tell you who we are.
Yeah, you don't know who we are.
You just picked up two random people.
Yeah. But we got situated with Mark. Had a whole conversation with Mark in broken English and French back and forth, and he called the rental car company, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, they're closed. It's Sunday. They're closed on Sundays."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So we settled in.
So he got us our room all figured out. We settled in, and while we were sitting there waiting, there was a coconut crab walking through the yard, which was one of the main things that we wanted to see. There was a coconut crab.
Yeah, the main non-bird thing.
Yeah, and so that was really exciting to watch it wander through the yard. I would have ran up and checked it out more, but we were kind of in the middle of a conversation, so I let it go. I was like, we'll see more.
We'll see more.
And we were also pretty anxious to find the parakeets, and we had plenty of sunlight. So after we got all our stuff put away and dealt with and arranged to have dinner, we walked down the road from Mark's house to just explore Ouvea.
Yeah, so because we were staying with Mark and Paulette, members of the indigenous tribe there, you're given a little bit more free reign to wander around the area,
the tribal lands,
and not get harassed and not have people bother you because you're staying with the tribe. So we didn't have to like specifically go out and arrange some access to this land. So we wandered around basically just on the road. We didn't leave the road. We didn't leave the road, and that was intentional too because we're like a little bit anxious about it.
Everything was wet too.
Yeah, it was very wet. There was no reason to leave the road anyways. But we wandered the roads, and within minutes, we had our first bird. The Pacific emerald dove. Oh,
which is just an absolute gorgeous bird.
Yes.
They have like a dark emerald colored back and purple heads and chests. Just absolutely stunning.
It kind of acts, if you're familiar with white-tipped doves down in the southern U.S., down in southern Texas, kind of acted like that, where it is very skittish.
Yeah.
And doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop, walks along on the ground. And as soon as you get within a couple hundred feet of it, it panics and flies away. But then it comes back pretty quick as long as you are like quiet and avoid the area.
Yeah. Gray-eared honey eaters were all over the place, and we were just enjoying sauntering down the road and enjoying the lush island, and then we heard some rustling in the bushes about waist height along the road.
And our actual target right there within 2 hours or so of landing, our first Ouvea parakeets. It was a pair feeding right on the road, eating all of the tops off of all these flowers that were growing right there on the road. It was spectacular. They were doing like little to each other, little chirpy things. They were chatting to each other. They were eating. And we honestly, I think we walked past them and didn't notice them in the bush.
Probably because I assumed they'd be in the trees.
Because we were looking up, looking for them up in the palms that were around, expecting that's where they're going to be. Most of the photos online were of them in palms or up higher, so that's what I was expecting. And so we heard them, turned around, and they were chest high, waist high, in some bushes on the side of the road. So we likely walked right past them while they were sitting there eating. Did not care that we were there. They were busy eating and chirping to each other.
So the bird was they were hanging out on the side of the road, just very docile and, right there for us to see. Eric got a ton of great photos of it. And it was just...
And one, mediocre audio recording. They were so quiet. It was just very quiet chirps. It wasn't calls. It wasn't calls. It was just contact chirps between each other.
Yeah, so it was just so cool that they were right there. And at that point, it was kind of like, do we get back on the plane and go back? Especially after the whole...
anxiety of rental car and making it to Mark's and Mark being confused. And...
Yeah.
But I had emails from them. Whatever. It's fine.
So it was really exciting. We turned around and go back to the property for dinner, which was chicken, really good chicken, noodles and vegetables. And the homestay that is there is kind of like a hostel almost. Like you have your own room, but it's at least we had our own room.
Mhm.
They have a large shared bathroom
Yeah.
that has 2 toilet rooms, 2 shower rooms, and a couple of sinks. The dining area is a covered outdoor patio that looks out into his yard, and he has a refrigerator there that you can put stuff in it. And I read reviews about people using the kitchen and about how clean the kitchen was, so I assume if you bring your own food, he allows you to use the kitchen.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
But that wasn't really clear. The room that we had was a large thatch hut with 4 beds in it and electricity, and you kind of had to, well, you didn't kind of, you had to duck to get in.
100% had to duck to get in. It was, and there was mosquito nets over each of the beds.
Yeah.
It was very comfortable beds. There was a fan, so if it was too hot, you have a little bit of wind. But it's very short ceiling inside there. It was 4 foot something to get in the door. It was a very short door. But other than that, I mean, if that's the only complaint, the door was short. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Mosquito nets were nice, even though I didn't really have any mosquitoes. It must have been.
I think I had some mosquito bites one of the days.
Yeah. Generally, mosquitoes didn't seem like a terrible problem on this island, but nice, comfortable accommodations, and his food is delicious.
Yeah. So we were just really satisfied that Mark was going to help us out with the rental car, and we had a good meal, and we got our target species. So we turned in for the night, and
arranged a time in the morning for breakfast, and then he would take us down to go figure out the rental car situation in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. Sounds great. Let's go to bed.
So the next morning started off really nice weather, but we knew the rain was coming because we had looked prior to going onto the island.
And it was also kind of starting to, like, overnight, a big rainstorm blew through, and then when we first woke up, it was like, oh, it's kind of clearish. It's not that bad, but there was a hint. It felt like it was still going to keep raining.
Yeah. We wandered around a little bit more in the morning before breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And again, had more looks at the parakeet.
Yeah, just a couple of blocks away from his house or his property.
And then more of the emerald dove, which I don't think I'll ever be able to get enough of because they're just so pretty.
Yeah.
Mark had made us breakfast, which was like this large onion omelet, tons of crusty French bread, fruit, jam, coffee, really like good French butter. I don't know what he did with the omelet, but it was absolutely delicious.
It was super good.
I could never make anything that's that delicious.
But had that delicious breakfast. Really good bread, which we were expecting, hoping for, whatever it is about the French bread, because like places that were French colonies or former French colonies almost always have really good French bread.
Yeah.
Senegal was that way, had really good French bread every day. And then here.
Yeah.
Like, those are our 2 examples in our life. But really good bread. It was amazing. After breakfast and after checking out the Ouvea Parakeet for a little bit, Mark and his wife were ready to go down. She had to do some shopping, I guess. Mm-hmm. So Mark, his wife, Paulette, and their one
son.
of their kids, their son, came with us. We all 5 loaded up and headed down to where the rental car company was fought to. And we get down there. By the time we get there, it is pouring down rain. And he calls the place, and the place is like, oh no, yeah, we're still closed. We're just not open. It's like, wait, so it's super confusing. Like this whole conversation, it was a really long conversation. And then finally, after felt like forever, he said, they're going to come out right now. And so then all of a sudden, this lady pulls around the building with a Mini Cooper, like a little small Mini Cooper, like what you have. And he pulls around, and we park, and we get out, and we talk to the lady, and it turns out that she had been waiting for us at the airport the previous day, but didn't have a sign, didn't have anything.
Maybe they just assume that everybody knows that, but we didn't know. And
I looked around, and there wasn't anybody that was like that. Nobody had a sign saying, "Hey, I'm here with a rental car. I'm with Fatu." There's nothing like that.
Anyways, it was poor communication with us, and I should ask
on all sides.
Yeah,
of this.
I'm not trying to blame them. Sorry if it sounds like that, but yeah. Anyways, we got the car. She was very gracious in that she only charged us for the one day that we were going to use it. We really appreciated that. She was super nice and helpful. So we got the car, and we were ready to go explore the island.
Yeah, and she said, okay, well, I think our flight was noon.
No, it was like at 1:30.
1:30. And so we told her, okay, well, we'll meet you at noon at the airport. And she was like, no, 1 o'clock.
No, she said 12:40.
12:40. That's
Yeah,
right. 12:40. It was like
12:40, and I was
12:40.
like,
It's but
whatever.
okay, but our flight's at 1:30. We'll just get there at noon. No. 12:40. And she was like very insistent. 12:40. 12:40. 12:40.
That's just what she does.
Okay, fine. 12:40. We'll meet you at the airport at 12:40. We'll still get there at 12, but we'll meet you there at 12:40. So we got that all squared away. We told Mark, hey, we're good. Everything's great. And he asked us what we wanted for dinner, if we're having dinner with him. And he went back to go shopping and then go back home. And we headed the other direction to go birding.
We decided to go to the southern edge and then just work our way north. And there was a tropical storm apparently blowing through at that time. So, it was very windy and rainy.
Just
and
dumping rain.
The rest of the day, we just kind of explored all of the roads that we could get to.
The ones that weren't flooded.
Yeah, the southern edge of the island is an isolated beach that's really beautiful. It's called Pointe du Mulet. And my French accent is great, right?
It almost sounded like French, yeah.
I know. So many times I try to speak to people in French, and like I know the words, but they're like, huh? Like, thank you for helping my confidence. But out in the distance, when we got out to the point, we were able to see some seabirds flying over the reef that were blown in from the storm. We could only really work out the short-tailed shearwaters before the rain and the wind got us, but it was just
so much rain in your eyes and so much. It was hard to hold the scope still in the heavy winds like that.
But it was so exciting because I love seabirds so much that they were like close enough that you could see them.
They were inside the lagoon,
yeah.
Like so inside the reef, and there were tons of them, and it was they were just far enough away that you couldn't make them out through the raindrops on your binoculars. Yeah. So it was like but we were able to make out the short tails, but there was other stuff out there. Like there was probably a half dozen of species, but we couldn't make them out. Couldn't figure out. Couldn't get enough field marks on these guys.
And that edge, I want to say that end of the island is like more remote and natural, but pretty much the entire island is fairly natural and doesn't have a whole lot of development.
Yes, it seems like the development basically is along that main road that goes through, and it's only in like little chunks, little clusters of development, little communities.
And the huge feature to check out is the Mulet Bridge, which spans the waterway between the island of Mulet and Ouvea. And it was first built in the 1980s. Before that, the island Mulet was only accessible by ferry. So now you can drive that span, and it's just such a beautiful view up there. You can see the Lakini cliffs on one side, and then the lagoon that looks out towards like New Caledonia on the other side. The water is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and the bridge honestly looks like it's not the original bridge from '82.
That's what it said online, but I couldn't find the date of the new bridge.
Yeah, the concrete looked fresh. Like it looked like this bridge is only a couple of years old. Like brand new bridge, really nicely paved. I don't know when, but I would say within like the last 10 years. Like it looked brand new.
Yeah, and the advertising that you see online shows that you can watch manta rays swimming underneath the bridge through the channel. So I was low-key hoping that would help or happen. Yeah,
I was not low-key. I was verbally saying out loud, I really hope we see some manta rays underneath the bridge. Say that. I said it once because you said it's possible. And it's like, oh, well, I hope so.
Yeah, but I think they have a migration, and we weren't there during that.
Yeah, we're not.
But from the bridge, we could see the black-naped and great-crested terns, masked booby, and Pacific reef heron. So maybe no manta rays, but we saw lots of other stuff.
Yeah, so by this point we're getting to 3:00 in the afternoon, and we're getting a little worn out.
We had explored all over the place.
We're
just driven road after road,
standing out in the rain and the wind, and it was just.
Do you remember we went down that one road and like turned around, like made a bunch of turns and everything,
and suddenly we're back on the main road?
Somehow we ended up back on the main road.
I felt like we were driving east the entire time, and I was like, we are going to come out to the edge of the island at some point.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're back on the main road. That was west. Like how somehow I lost my entire sense of direction when we made that turn there, and it's like I don't know. And to let you know, there is no cell phone service for non-French or New Caledonian cell carriers in New Caledonia. They're very proprietary, I guess, with the cell phone. We can't even, as a U.S. cell phone carrier, we had no access to have anything. The only way to get cell service in New Caledonia or any of these loyalty islands is to get a SIM card. And we've never explored doing that. Maybe we should at some point, but we've never explored doing that. So we just had no cell phone service, no maps, no nothing. It was just we're out there on our own.
Well, and so our travel tip on that is that we have T-Mobile, and T-Mobile has like slow internet and texting in most countries.
Almost every country around the world.
Yeah.
And then you can get quicker internet by paying a little bit more, and then you can unlock a handful of other countries by paying like a month, like a package, an international package for short time frame.
Yeah. So we were getting pretty worn out. We were getting pretty worn out of driving around in the rain, and we went and hung out at the lodge for a little bit longer. But then we got tired of doing that because we were like, we're here. We have to go explore. We have to go do things.
Yes.
And it seemed like the rain was kind of dying down a little bit. So we decided to go see if this restaurant that I had found on the north end of the island was actually there and open, because there were a couple other restaurants that I saw mentioned, and we drove past them and either it didn't look like a restaurant anymore or it was closed. So we went to explore the northernmost one, could not figure out where it was.
No, and I found out afterwards that it seems like what you have to do is stop in or call them and say, hey, I want to have lunch here later. And then they'll have somebody come and make lunch, and then so it's not a restaurant in the typical sense. You just have to let them know ahead of time that you're interested in having lunch there, and then they'll have someone show up and make lunch.
But again, we didn't have cell service, and also we're in the middle of tropical depression. I'm not going to make somebody like come cook me a meal because of that. We did stop in at the gas station and get some snacks. There was a lot there at that gas station.
It's the full grocery store for the island, so it's got all the food you need to survive on the island.
It did not have beer though.
Nope, no beer. But while we're up by the north end, we just kept following a road, and there was a section of the road that it like dove down, and I thought the first time going through it, I thought we were going to lose the car going through it, because I'm going along, and it did not look like it was deep at all. It looked pretty shallow. We had already hit a handful of like puddles that were like, oh, it's just a regular like 3 inches deep, something like that, 4 inches deep maybe. And then all of a sudden we hit one that's like a full foot deep, and it's like, whew, and we're in a short little Mini Cooper, so a foot on a Mini Cooper is a lot of water.
Yeah.
Hit through that and came out. It was pretty short, so it didn't really get us, but it was like, huh. It did not look like that. The flat ground everywhere. It's just like this random. There's like a pothole or something that was there that was in the middle of the puddle. So that was terrifying. Then we turned around and then had to cross it again to get out of there.
Yeah.
So that was less terrifying crossing it again, but
there was a beach access near where that restaurant was supposed to be.
There was.
We stopped there for a few minutes because it looked so lovely, and there was a set of stairs that takes you down onto the beach. Absolutely gorgeous. Loved it. And it was a great vantage point to look at all the seabirds that were flying past. Again, we could really only suss out the short-tailed shearwaters because the wind and the rain was getting us.
Yeah.
And they were closer in, and we're more familiar with that species.
And we forgot to mention we had lesser frigate birds.
Yeah.
Down at the south end. We also had some frigate birds from this north end as well. But it was hard they were too far away for us to make out what species, what type of frigate bird they were. Yeah. So it was very distant, 2 frigate birds flying along. Could have been lesser, probably lesser, but not entirely positive. But at that point, it was getting later in the afternoon. We're like upwards of like 4 o'clock by now. By the time so it's like, oh, I'm getting kind of hungry. I think we told
I think we were
Mark
dinner
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
7, yeah.
Yeah, so sun was starting to wane a little bit, and I was hungry.
Yeah. So, we got back to the lodge and chilled out for a little bit. There were some other people that had arrived, and they were camping in the yard, even though it was downpouring.
Just pouring. But because the island is this permeable rock, not really any puddles. The puddles were basically on roads where you've compacted the...
Oh, I forgot. We did go to that turtle pond, too.
Oh, he told us about this turtle pond.
Yeah, and that was one of the huge things that I saw on the tourism website, was this turtle pond, which kind of seems like, not a sinkhole, but like just kind of a natural...
it had to have been a sinkhole, but...
Maybe it was.
Yeah.
But of course, we went, and it was downpour rain, so we didn't really stay for very long. But apparently that's like a cool place to see turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a 20-foot drop down to the water. Yeah. And you could climb down the cliff down to the water.
I was not going to do that.
No, it was pouring down rain.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, it's as much as I want to do to just stand here at the edge and look at it, which is gorgeous.
I know, but I wish I would have seen it in the sunlight.
Yeah, it probably was gorgeous in the sun. It was super cool in the rain. And even cooler in the sun.
But that's one of the features of the island.
Yes.
So when we finally got back to the hotel or the lodge and was ready for dinner, the next morning the weather was much better. We had another fantastic breakfast from Mark, and we said goodbye and thank you and headed off to explore a little bit more before our flight, since the weather was so much better then we could explore more.
Yeah, so headed all the way back down to the south end. We had terns, great crested, and black naped. We actually had a brown goshawk fly over, which I was shocked. It was our only hawk that we had seen on this whole island. So that's like, oh, cool, awesome. And near the bridge, we also had a Melanesian flycatcher coming out and going back in, calling and all that stuff.
Which is fun. It kind of looks like a black phoebe.
Yeah, it does kind of look like a black phoebe.
Doesn't have like the puffy head though.
It kind of acts like a black phoebe and everything too.
Yeah.
And while we were at the bridge still, we also had a sea snake that came up on, like, physically almost out of the water onto the beach, probably chasing something, and then it kind of went along. Big. It was relatively big for what I would think of as a snake.
Yeah.
A couple of feet long. Like, it was a good sized snake. We're looking from on the bridge down at it, so we're pretty distant. And
the water was so clear and beautiful and everything the snake was so black that you could see it really easily.
Yeah.
Moving through the water.
It was super cool. And venomous.
Yeah.
don't get bit by these guys.
Yeah. So we have some wash up on the Oregon coast every once in a while, and everybody's like, venomous snake.
Yeah.
Out on the point, the water was really beautiful.
All the way back at the south end again. All the way to the total tip.
Yeah, and the water was clear, and seabirds were flying about still, so we got some pretty good looks at the seabirds that were flying by. Again, mostly short-tailed shearwaters, but then we had a lifer
something completely different. Very clearly different bird.
A Tahiti petrel.
Yes, so this is normally a deep water bird. I imagine the storm is what blew this guy in, but black head, pure white body.
Kind of like a common murre.
Very much, but like
a
if you mixed
winged.
Yeah, if you mix like a pink-footed shearwater and a common murre together. Like that's kind of what you would get with a Tahiti petrel. So really, really cool looking bird. Really not that far out. It was right at the edge of the breakers, which were a couple hundred feet away, maybe 1,000, maybe not 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
Away to the edge of the breakers. Gorgeous bird. It normally deep water, but the wind must have blown it in, and it was still just kind of around the island. And they were all. It looked like all of the birds were just kind of feeding too.
Yeah.
The shearwaters that were out there.
So all I wanted to do was go swimming at that point, because I didn't get to go swimming in Fiji, and I love swimming in the ocean. So I changed my clothes and we went in search of a beach.
Yeah.
Which was a little tough.
There was. We stopped at the hotel to try to get some information. The one hotel that's down to the south end of the island. It's a kind of a big luxury resort thing. And I saw a map on the wall saying that it's prohibited to swim around the bridge.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I don't see any signs of the bridge saying that, but here's a map that says that, so ixnay, we're not doing that. Let's find somewhere else to swim.
Yeah, so we went to one beach, and there was a lot of algae in the water, so that kind of grossed me out, and we decided to leave there and search for somewhere else.
There was a couple of sections of the beach that had algae, but for the most part, all of the beaches were crystal clear water and just white sand, blue water, just amazing. Just it happened to be that there's a couple of spots. I think there's an inlet or something that the water stagnates a little bit more.
Maybe.
And so there was some algae in a couple of them.
Yeah, but then we went to the bridge, and we knew we weren't supposed to swim near there, and so we walked like a quarter mile down or so, and I was still a little panicked about that snake that we saw. So I didn't go that far in. I mean, I went to like waist height, and just kind of floated for a few minutes, which was really pleasant. I was kind of neurotic about the whole thing, even though I really wanted to go swimming. I was like not sure what to expect. But yeah, the water was beautiful and felt really good, and I love swimming in the ocean.
Yeah, and I just plopped down on the beach and just kind of.
Eric hates swimming.
I put my toes in the water. I didn't want to change is the problem. I didn't want to have to be sandy and change and back and forth. We're going to get on a plane in a few minutes. Yeah. So I'm just going to come up with all sorts of excuses for you.
I know. I got out of the water and sat on the beach for like 10 minutes to dry off.
Like literally just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's it. No more.
I got absolutely fried. And I had forgot to put sunscreen on because of course I always do. And I need to be better about that. But like my back was so red.
Just like glowing red. Like whew, you were like, I don't know, you were in the water for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then out of the water for like 10 minutes.
Well, you had read that there's like a high UV something there.
When we landed in New Caledonia, when we still had Wi-Fi, I got notifications on my phone like, stay out of the sun, high UV warning. So I was like, okay. Well, apparently it was very high UV warning.
Apparently.
So heed those warnings if you get them.
Yeah, be better about sunscreen than me.
Yeah.
We got to the airport about half an hour and a half before the flight, and it was absolutely empty.
Closed, barred up.
There was not a soul there.
Yeah, there wasn't a single car there. All of the windows were closed with the shutters drawn, and it's like,
is this plane really taking off?
Yeah, just the airport's closed. But it makes sense if you only have one flight a day, and there's no reason to have staff on like regular hours. You just have people show up when they're needed.
Yeah.
So airport was closed, and it's like, all right, well, let's go drive around for a little bit. So we drove down past the airport and saw a bunch of Pacific golden plovers on the runway. That was just east of the airport itself. Super cool watching these guys play around a little bit. They're basically on the tarmac, and then we went back and. The lady that we got the car from, she recognized us because it was only one day later, but she recognized us and we gave her the keys. It was fueled up and relatively clean. She took it. She was happy. She's asked us if we had any troubles. No problems. And then they started opening up the airport.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Rolling up those shutters, and so we turned in our bags and sat getting ready to get on the airplane again to head back to New Caledonia.
Yeah. So. Impressions of Ouvea.
I would return. I think 2 days was the perfect amount of time.
Yeah.
It would have felt too long if the weather had been really nice the whole time. But if the weather had been really nice the whole time, we probably could have gone swimming and spent like half a day like tooling around in the water instead of just trying to bird in the rain.
I would like to go snorkeling on some of those islands, and I know Mark can help arrange that. It's like his cousin or something like that.
Oh, on the north end, like the
Pleiades.
I
think it was called the Pleiades Islands. That you could see from like where we were watching the sunset. Mm-hmm. You could see them off in the distance, so they're not that far. But I thought it was beautiful.
Yes.
It's a lot more like remote than any place I feel like we've ever been. I don't know if that's actually true.
It felt more remote, even if it actually wasn't.
Yeah, it's really an incredible place.
Yeah, and the people are so friendly.
Yeah.
Everyone waved as we're driving along the road. Everyone we talked to, even though there was a major language barrier, was so friendly.
Yeah.
And it was I downloaded the pack for French, and most people spoke French. I think there was a fair number of people that we encountered that didn't speak French either. They didn't speak English or French. They just spoke the indigenous language, Canuck, for this island. I think there's a couple of varieties of that language, even just
dialects?
On that one. Dialects there, sorry, that's the word. Even on this small island. And I think there's a couple of different dialects. So that's not an option in Google Translate to download that app. So I had French. That's the best I could do. But if you're going there, definitely either brush up on French if you know a little bit of it, or be prepared to be confused and
use the translation apps.
And use the translation apps and have to work at it to get through some stuff. But the people were so friendly.
If you're going to stay with Mark, bring your own towel.
Oh yeah,
and your own amenities.
Which we did, but
and I don't know why I thought of that because we were going to go swimming.
Yes.
And I usually bring a towel when I decide I want to go swimming somewhere, and bring a swimsuit. But yeah, that was just like one of the most interesting trips, I think, interesting places that we've ever been, and I'm so glad we decided to do that. Our guide in New Caledonia, she was like, well, why didn't you go to Lifu?
Because there's 2 endemics instead of 1 endemic.
But, when she was telling us about it, I think she said like 80,000 people live on Lifu.
Yeah, it's a much larger, more developed island.
It might not be 80,000, but it was many more than Ouvea.
Yeah.
And
there's more resources, there's more hotels, there's a lot more to do on Lifu than there is on Ouvea.
Yeah.
Ouvea.
And the whole time we were on Ouvea, I kept thinking, like, are we the only Americans here?
I think we honestly were the only Americans.
That's very rare that we're like the only Americans in a place.
Yeah. And there was a handful of French tourists, but that was it.
Yeah. Well, and they knew somebody that was from there.
Yeah. They had an insider. They were staying at somebody's house that they knew.
Yeah.
Interesting, though.
Yeah, definitely. Totally worth it to see that stupid parakeet that was so easy.
So fun.
And
little mohawk and
I know. It was amazing.
Very confiding for photos.
Totally recommend it.
Okay, well, thank you guys all for listening to our podcast. We will come back to you in 2 weeks with New Caledonia, the biggest part of the trip, going with Isabel to see all of the cool stuff on New Caledonia. But until then, we hope you enjoyed this episode and or learned something new. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or anywhere else you listen to us. If you would like to connect with us on the socials, you can follow us at Hannah Goes Birding and Eric Goes Birding on Instagram. You can follow our Facebook page at Hannah and Eric Go Birding, or you can email us at hannahhandericgobirding@gmail.com. You can check out our website also at www.gobirdingpodcast.com. Tell us what you think and share the love of birding with your friends.